Vance from the Vance Law Firm is in studio with us this morning, waiting to answer your legal questions right here on the air. We remind you that number 334-420-9732. And as always, we'd like to remind our viewers you are a personal injury attorney. What kind of cases do you typically cover?
That is right. We handle cases where people have been injured by no fault of their own. That could be on the job, in a car, on a bicycle, motorcycle. Anytime there's an injury and it was not caused by the person who's injured, it's worth a phone call.
It's interesting you mentioned bicycles. There can be a little bit of a tension between folks on bicycles and people in a car. Those drivers in the car tend to think they have ownership of the road, but we have to share the road.
Right. We do, and you know, there's the rules of the road, and there's the rules of the road for motorcyclists, bicyclists, and for people operating motor vehicles. So yeah, be aware of your surroundings is step one, so that hopefully you see the bike or motorcycle before it becomes an issue. But yeah, you know, share the highway out there. There's usually signs, but you're right, people don't always do that. We've represented many people who've been hit while on a bicycle. So you know, to the bicyclist, also be prepared. Please wear a helmet. But yes, all those things, you know, you think common sense, but I've been doing this long enough to know that that is easier said than people actually do.
Common sense is not all that common.
Well said. Absolutely.
Let's go to a question we have from a viewer now. They ask, how many points can you get on your driver's license, and what happens when you get too many points? I'm
going to answer the last part first. You're going to lose your license. Is what happens. I don't know currently the number of points. I based this on a personal story years ago. My oldest daughter had some issues with points, and she ended up getting her license suspended for a while, or she hadn't gotten it yet. So really, it's a graduated license, and that term means for new drivers, kids turning 16 and getting their license, it's a graduated number system. So that less numbers for them, points for them, causes more issues. They can lose their license or get it suspended. For people who have been driving for a number of years, I'm pointing to myself, if we have violations, you get those points, and I don't know to the person that asked the question what the total is, but the answer is you can have your license suspended for an amount of time or ultimately lose it. It's almost like if you don't pay the parking tickets or the speeding tickets, what happens? You can suspend or lose your license.
Talking about licenses and driving and young people, add them to the insurance, it can get costly. Folks like to kind of save on that money, but you say never skimp on insurance.
Yeah, I did, and you know, you and I have talked about this a lot over the years, but please check your insurance. Make sure you have the proper insurance. You know, when people call and ask what that means, it means you have to have a minimum in the state of Alabama of $25,000 of liability. But what they don't, you're not required to keep uninsured or underinsured. That's the part that covers you and your family. Please don't waive that, don't not get it, because so many times I have people come in our office that a person hit them that didn't have insurance, so they're breaking the rules, but at the end of the day, that just means you don't have any money to recover, and if you don't have the uninsured or underinsured on your policy, there's still no money to recover. So medical bills start adding up. Medical treatment that you need or may need to go get, you can't afford to go get because there's not insurance. So it's a simple process. The uninsured, underinsured portion, very inexpensive from any of the companies. And I would then say, take it a step further, if you can afford it, get more than $25,000, because that's just the minimum requirement of the state. But if you've had any kind of medical treatment, $25,000 in medical bills does not go very far, especially if it's a serious injury with surgery or surgeries. That's not going to get you very far. And you can, although you can stack it in your household, the uninsured motorists we're talking about, still $25,000. We had a client recently who lost a loved one in their home in an accident, and the at-fault party, you know, didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident, but there's only $25,000, and you know the families are struggling with, wait, that hardly covers the burial expenses for our family, and then they've got to come out of pocket for what is a terrible situation altogether. So it's worth taking the time to look at your policy. See what it's there. If you have questions, I don't sell insurance, certainly, but I'm happy to tell you what I think you should have in your policy. There are several parts to it. People sometimes take it for granted, but you're right. Pull it out, look at it, call and ask some questions. It's a free call. I'm happy to give you my opinion. I've been doing this, gosh, almost 30 years, and it still doesn't surprise me, but I'm still, it's hard lesson to learn and have to tell clients that, sorry, there's nothing we can do because there's no insurance.
You said something, stack insurance. What does that mean?
Yeah, great question. On your uninsured, underinsured, that's on your own policy for your household. If someone, I'll use the example, someone hits you, causes an injury to you, they don't have any insurance, they're uninsured. The part of your policy that's uninsured motorist coverage, under Alabama law, you can have your 25, let's say everybody's got a minimum policy, and I've got my car, my wife's car, and a child's car. So there's 3 vehicles in our household with $25,000, if that's what we have. We could stack those, and it would mean that there's $75,000 worth of coverage available. That doesn't mean just because you have an accident, they're going to give you the $75,000. But if you had a situation where it's a surgery and the bills exceeded $75,000 or close to it, at least that money's available to help you and your family get through the situation.
All right, we're going to answer more of your questions after the break. Again, that number to call, 334-420-9732. That's 420-9